9 terrifying discoveries that left archaeologists stunned. 1. Lady Rye. It's quite incredible to see people from thousands of years ago and learn about their lives. Lady Rye is one such person from ancient Egypt. She was a woman who lived around 1530 BC and worked as a nursemaid for an Egyptian queen. She died when she was about 30 to 40 years old. Her mummy is fascinating because her hair is perfectly preserved, just as it was when she was alive, and it even appears to be growing. She is one of the oldest mummies in the world. Interestingly, Lady Rye is one of the earliest known humans to have had a disease called atherosclerosis. This condition happens when plaque builds up on the walls of the arteries, making it hard for blood to flow properly. This can cause blood clots. 2. Ramses II. Ramses II was a famous Egyptian leader who lived a surprisingly long life of about 90 years, which was exceptional in those times. It's believed that he had over 100 children. His mummy was found by archaeologists in 1881, and they were amazed at how well preserved it was. However, by 1947, the condition of the mummy began to worsen. As a result, the mummy was sent to France for restoration. Interestingly, they issued a passport for the mummy, listing his occupation as king deceased. When the mummy arrived in France, it was given the same royal treatment that is still reserved for special royals in France today. 3. King Tutankhamun. King Tutankhamun, also known as King Tut, became a ruler when he was just 9 years old. His mummy was found in the Valley of the Kings in 1922, which made him even more famous. His tomb was rich and luxurious, filled with various pieces of jewelry and ancient treasures. A specially detailed mask made of solid gold was also found with his mummy. King Tut's mummy is well known because of a curse that's associated with it. It's believed that anyone who opens an ancient Egyptian tomb will be cursed. In fact, Lord Carnarvon, the man who dared to open King Tut's tomb, died a few days after doing so, reportedly from a mosquito bite. 4. Crocodile mummy. The Nile River crocodile is the largest type of crocodile in the world and is known for being extremely aggressive. Ancient Egyptians made mummies of a few of these crocodiles. They believed these mummified crocodiles represented Sobek, an ancient Egyptian god usually shown with a crocodile's head. These crocodiles were also recognized by the ancient Egyptians for their speed and fertility. Interestingly, they used old papyrus scraps, which had previously been written on, to stuff these animals. When these mummified crocodiles were discovered, the pieces of writing were found inside them. 5. Gazelle mummy. In the later stages of the Egyptian civilization, gazelles were also turned into mummies. One particular gazelle was a pet of a queen. The way this gazelle was mummified surprised archaeologists because it was treated just like a human mummy. It was even given a royal burial, the same as a queen or king. This shows how much importance animals had in ancient Egyptian society. 6. Mud-covered mummy. Usually, mummies are coated with specific materials or resins to help preserve them. So, Australian archaeologists were amazed when they discovered a mummy that was covered in mud. Resin was very costly and only the wealthy could afford it, but mud was cheap. This mummy shows that even regular people were so influenced by the idea of mummies that they used mud to preserve a body in an effort to copy the royals. This mummy belonged to a woman who was likely in her 20s and had been placed in her coffin a long time after her death. 8. Tattooed mummy. While tattoos have become a popular trend in modern times, they've been a part of various tribes and religious customs throughout history. At a site called Deir el Medina in Egypt, archaeologists made an astonishing discovery. They found 7 mummified women, all of whom had tattoos covering their bodies. One mummy stood out with as many as 30 tattoos, which is the most tattoos found on a mummified body to date. These mummified women were artists and worked on many different art projects. Researchers believe their tattoos might have been a way to show their artistic talent and expression. 9. Chicharon mummies. It's a common belief that all ancient mummies come from Egypt, but that's not entirely true. Some were actually found in northern Chile and southern Peru. These mummies aren't as well preserved or extravagant, but they're incredibly old, dating back to 7020 BC, a time when the Egyptian civilization didn't even exist yet. Some of these bodies naturally turned into mummies, but later people started preserving them on purpose. They mummified all sorts of people, including babies, men, women, and anyone else you can imagine. After initial discoveries in 1917, about 282 mummies were found in the area. Here's the most amazing part. The Chicharon people started artificially preserving their dead as mummies around 5000 BC. That's a whole 2000 years before the Egyptians even thought of doing something similar.